Hello, everyone, and welcome to You've Retired, Now What? I'm here to help you navigate through these waters of deciding what's the rest of my life going to look like? What's my next phase going to look like? What have I not done that I wanted to do? I'm your host, Michael Kiffmeyer, and each week on this podcast, I give you tips and tricks, processes, and methodologies that can help you through your thought process. So we got a whole lot to talk about. Let's dive in. Today we're going to dive into one of the most crucial phases of life, retirement. We spend decades planning for it, and all of a sudden we find out the transition is not as smoothly as we thought. So in today's episode, I want to give you about 10 steps towards a successful retirement. Okay, let's dive in. So number one, you got to have a financial plan. I realize many of you have already worked with a financial planner, and you feel like you're good. However, laws change, things change, money changes, and life events change. You need to review your financial plan at least once a month. And many of you might want to do it weekly because old habits die hard. If you were spending $10,000 a month while you worked, and now you think you're going to pare back to $5,000 a month, and then you find out you're still spending $10,000 a month, you got a problem. And you need to correct it. You need to go back to your financial planner. You need to ask him a question. You need to ask him a question. So here we are. We didn't realize we were going to live all this time. What can we do to ensure that we don't outlive our money? And you need to do this because it's a real problem. Inflation is at an all-time high right now in the United States and pretty much around the world. Unexpected expenses come up like long-term care. Are you prepared for them? None of us want to go into a facility, but sometimes it's the best option. So you need to take a look at it. And you need to get your financial to help you create or refine your financial plan. So many people retire and they don't do step number two. And step number two is very important. You need to define your purpose and your goals. But Michael, I just quit working 40 years. Why do I need to have goals? Because if you do not have a sense of purpose, your time's going to get away from you and you're going to be telling yourself, I should have done this, I should have done that. Why did I wait so long? You need to have a reason to get up and out of that bed each and every day. The Japanese call it ikigai. And ikigai, they practice from the time they're young. It means that it's their sense of purpose. It's their reason for popping out of that bed each and every day. Yeah, you might not be working anymore, but a person needs something to do. We weren't just made to sit around and let time go by. That's our parents and our grandparents, when they retired, many of them did that. But you have a lot of energy now. We're living longer. You can do more than you think you can do. Why not come up with some goals and some priorities so that by the time that your time is left on the face of this earth, you feel accomplished, you feel like you've lived the best possible life you can. Nothing's worse than living with regrets. And I want you all to be airline pilots. An airline pilot only sees the windshield in front of them. They don't look back. Don't look back because it's not going to help you. Can't do anything about the past. You can outside of learn from it. You can only improve on the future. You need to prioritize your health. When we get in our 50s, 60s, and 70s, the body starts to wear out and things start to go wrong. We're more susceptible to diseases because our immune system is not as strong as it once was. It starts to deteriorate, and you need to make sure you take as much preventive care as you can. This is not just physical care. This is also mental health care. You need to stay sharp. You need to have good mental acuity. I've met many people in their 90s. They're sharp as tacks. I've met other people in their 90s. They don't do anything, and um, and they sing that song, "Woe is me." You don't want to sing that song. It just doesn't make any sense. You had all these dreams for your life. Why not do them all? Why not go for it? We got one life to live, and we're not getting another one. So why don't you do the best job you can while you're here on the face of this earth? You need to incorporate at least 30 minutes a day with physical activity. I would also say, if you can find the time, you need to spend 30 minutes a day reading, listening to podcasts, making yourself aware of what's going on in the world today. And quite simply, it makes others understand you're with it. You got it. You might be older, but you know exactly what's going on, and you know exactly what this life is bringing to you today. You need to work on number four. You need to work on your social network. When you work, you had friends, colleagues, and acquaintances that you saw pretty much on a daily basis. They're still friends, and I'm sure every once in a while you might get together for dinner. But here's the fact: they're working, you're not, and they're busy. You've got to fill that gap. Many people, when they retire, they suffer a feeling of isolationism. And that's because they're not, they got to ask themselves the question, what am I doing to put myself out there? Usually not very much. You have the friends, and you hear them. Well, people just don't come around. I'm older now. Those are excuses. Excuses are like noses. We all have one. So it's not a good thing to sit and complain if you're not willing to do something about it. Don't be the problem, be the solution. You can join clubs, organizations that align their interests with yours. Fishing club, motorcycle club, book club, whatever. Make a habit of scheduling to meet up with friends. And this has got to be a intended action on your part. Don't wait for people to come to you. They're not going to. Maybe every once in a while, your kids or your friends and your family, some of them might come to you, but for the most part, if you're feeling isolated, uh, get out there and you boost your mental and your emotional state by engaging yourself with other people. Number five, you heard me say before, a person needs something to do. You need to find meaningful activities. If you have a hobby, why don't you explore that even more? um, don't be tempted to fall into a passive routine, because when you fall into a passive routine, you become that person that says, I shoulda, I woulda, I coulda. Don't do that. I remember way back when I had a coach when I played football. He says, those are drugstore cowboys. They sit on the corner and they just say, I shoulda, I woulda, I coulda. Well, we don't have too many drugstores like that anymore with um, you know, soda bars and cafes, but we still have people that get themselves locked into a frame of mind. You got two ways to think about life. You have a growth mindset. That means you're going to try as much as you can and do things that you never did before. Experiment with different things that you've never done before. Or you're going to have a fixed mindset. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm too old, whatever. I call bull on that. You're only as old as you think you are inside of your mind. Make sure that you list down meaningful activities. You're not going to only do each week What are you going to do each day? You had a schedule in your work. You always knew um, what was expected of you, where you should be, at what time, and that was your identity. Okay, but now, who are you? And that's the reason for um, the name of this podcast. You've retired. Now what? And now what is that you need to say, what are you going to do from this point forward? The past is just exactly that. It's the past. Um, your work, even though that was your identity, that was what you did. That's not what you were. You need to make sure that you do identify one or two activities that you can commit to on a regular basis. Number 6, I want you all to become lifelong learners. Just because you're retired doesn't mean you've stopped growing. The mind keeps going. Lifelong learning can help you keep your mind sharp, give you a sense of purpose, and help in your mental acuity. You can go to community college and observe classes. Many of them won't charge because you're not really taking the class for credit. You're doing it for your own interest. And you can even learn when you travel. It's wonderful. As we get older, the one thing that things don't get it anymore, but what does get it is experiences and travel and memories of where we've been. And you'd like to, before you leave the face of this earth, and say, um, when I retired, I took a cruise to the British Isles. I went to the Bahamas, took another cruise to Alaska, flew to Washington, saw all the monuments, went to Niagara Falls, saw all that history. Isn't that'll make you fulfilled? And that's not a job. That is you filling up your heart and your mind. And that's exactly what you should do. You should explore what your interests. Maybe your interests now are not the same as they were 20 years ago. You know what? I'll bet they aren't, because I know there's a lot of things in my life that I thought I always wanted to do, but as I got older, it just didn't make any sense. Okay, and it didn't fit my needs. And if it doesn't fit your needs, you need to let it go. You need to manage your time wisely. Why do I say that? Because if you don't manage your time when you're retired, you're not going to get anything accomplished. You're going to just sit around, and all of a sudden, 3, 4, 5 years have passed. I got a neighbor across the street. He's had a car in his driveway for close to 15 years. And he says, that's going to be my retirement project. He's been retired now for 3 years. Guess what? He hasn't touched that car. And chances he ever will are slim and none. If we don't take proactive steps to pursue our interests or our goals, whatever they may be, we let them go by the wayside. And then we sit there and we beat ourselves up and we say to ourselves, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? You need to schedule personal time, you need to schedule social time, and you need to schedule time for whatever projects you might want to accomplish. You need to be flexible with your scheduling, and you need some downtime too. Okay, when we retired, we said, when I retire, I'm not going to do anything. Well, that works for a couple years. What I call your honeymoon period. Your honeymoon period is that 2, 3 years you say, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. And then all of a sudden you get a nagging feeling or a tap on your shoulder and says, what are you doing now? What gets you up every morning? You need to have intentional purpose and make sure you have a reason each and every day to get up and get moving. Hey guys, real quick, if you've been struggling to answer the question, now what, after you've retired, I'd like to invite each and every one of you to my free now what challenge that can help you reignite your spark, give yourself a sense of direction. Try to decide exactly what it is you want to do in this next phase of your life. People are very smart, and they get worn out. I know that. But eventually, they know they got to do something more. And you need a purpose to get up and out of that bed each and every morning. I have tools, processes, and methodologies that I'm going to share with you in this challenge that I believe will help you clear your mind and decide exactly what you're going to do in this next phase of your life. So let's go to number 8. And number 8 is you need to reassess and adapt your plan. Just like your financial plan, um, you need to see, I wanted to do this, this, and this, but it doesn't fit any longer. Can I change? You sure can. The only person you have to answer to is you. You never had time for you a whole lot in your working life because you're busy working and it took a lot of your time. Well, guess what? You have time now and you're out of excuses. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do. You need to take care of your financial situation, your health, and your personal goals as well. And in all three areas, they might change. Um, and many times things happen to us that we hadn't planned for. Great example. I'm recording this in October 2nd of 2024. Many people in Florida and the Southeast, they've gone through a tremendous hurricane. There's people that had homes that they're gone. What do? If they've saved and they've paid their house off and now their home's gone, what do? They got to adapt and they don't want to, but one of the things I like about the American spirit is we can stay down, but we don't stay down for long. We have friends, neighbors, and colleagues that'll help us get back to where we want to be or where we need to be. So you need to take this into consideration. As you get older, you might not want to, but you might not be able to stay in your house. You might have a physical ailment that you need to go into a care facility. Don't want to, especially people in my age group, the baby boomers. We got more to do. We don't want to just say, well, that's it. That was our parents' generation. That was our grandparents' generation. We got too many options today. We're living longer. We're taking better care of our health. We're taking care of our mental acuity. And so if you need to adapt your plan, you need to do it. It's okay to make changes from your original plan. Flexibility will help you enjoy your retirement more fully. So you need to, in step number 8 here, you need to revisit your plan on a semi-annual basis and an annual basis. So here's what I said I wanted to do 2 years ago. How much of it have I done? And does this old plan still fit my needs today? And if it doesn't, change it. You don't have to stay stuck in the same thing just because that's what you planned for. Um, when you make plans, I don't care what stage of life you're in, this little thing called life happens. And we like it to be just a nice, even keel, but it's not, is it? It goes like this on a constant basis. And you got to make yourself mentally strong. You got to take care of your health. And so that you can handle these roadblocks in the road, as I call them, and live the successful retirement life you had always dreamed of. So now we're ready for, let's see, what do we got here? We're ready for number 9. And number 9 is I want you to consider downsizing or relocating your home. When you were working, if you were like me, you had this humongous house and you had to spend money on upkeep, taking care of it, And what you would do is you'd work 40 hours a week or 50, and then you had to go do all the housework and the yard work. We don't want to do that anymore. I went from that huge house that I had to all the way down to 1,028 feet. How do you live that way? Real easy. You don't have the you don't have the stress that you have and the responsibility with that huge house. Currently, it's my wife, I, and three little dogs, and we're real comfortable. Worst problem we have is trying not to collect more stuff. And don't you collect stuff? I mean, my goodness, 30, 40, 50 years worth of stuff. And you know what I learned? You ask your children, do you want this? They got a different mindset. Nah, I don't want any of that. You can toss it. So if you haven't used something in 6 months, I say uh, you either sell it, donate it, or take it to the junk pile, or give it to somebody else, because you're not gonna use it. At this stage of our life, we want experiences, memories, and we want to spend time with family. You might even want to think relocating. I did. I grew up in the Midwest and lived there for a long time. Had been in California once, and then at 64, after a divorce, I said, you know what? I'm going back to what made me happy, and I picked up, started all over again, and moved to California. I found this state, and it's changed a lot. I know, um, after I got out of the military, and my last duty station was in California, and I said, you know what? Somebody didn't tell us something. This is pretty nice. We have our problems. I won't disagree with you, but what I did was I always have had a growth mindset. I readjust my thought process and say, well, this is not as good as it is. I never lived by that mantra. I always wanted to, what's next, what's next, what next. And I would like to encourage all of you to possibly have that same mindset, because life doesn't end just because you've retired. It's a new beginning. It's an opportunity for you to do whatever it is you didn't get to do while you're in your working life. Number 10, how about leaving a legacy? Have you ever thought of that? A legacy doesn't mean creating statues to yourself and a whole bunch of accolades. You need to decide, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? This could be relationships, contributions to society, or simply the impact you've had on others. How do you want others to think about you after you're long and gone? What do you want to be known for? And it's not too late, because regardless of what the past uh, life you had when you were working, that doesn't have to define you now that you've retired. You can rewrite the whole script, and you can be the kind of person, or strive for the kind of person you always wanted to be if you didn't have the time when you were in the working world. You got to make sure your financial affairs are in order, including wills, trusts, and healthcare directives. You got to have all that put together, because you don't want to go to this next life, or get to the end of your life, and have burden for other people that um, they have to scramble to try to make everything happen. I learned this lesson back when I was 24 years old, when my dad died, and my mother just they never made plans. They never had, well, if you die, this and whatever else. I was the oldest of six kids, and I had to scramble. And but it had a lasting impact on my life, on making sure I had my ducks in a row, making sure I had all my areas of like wills and trusts, and how I want to be um, buried, or in my case, cremated at the end of my life. You need to ensure that your financial affairs are in order. Pay that house off if you can, and make sure you strive as quickly as you can to get out of debt. You don't want to pass this on to your relatives. You don't want to pass this on to your children. And the bills don't go away. They still got to be paid. So, in hindsight, a legacy is not just about money. We've discussed several different areas. It's also about how you spend your time and impact those around you. So here's what I'd like you to do. Here's an action step. I'd like you to um, reflect on the values that you have. And what values do you want to pass on, and discuss them with your loved ones so that they understand they're not in the dark, and they know exactly what you want to happen. So that's bringing us to the end of our 10 steps to a successful retirement. Remember, retirement isn't about just money, it's about purpose. And we all need to have a sense of purpose each and every day. Why? Well, if you take your hand, put it over your heart, and you feel a beat, there's a reason you're here. And you need to take advantage of that, and you need to be all you can be. I know that sounds kind of cliche, um, and take steps toward a fulfilling and meaningful life. Thank you for tuning in today, and make sure you just subscribe to You've Retired, Now What, for more insightful episodes on living your best retirement. And I'll see you the next time. One more thing. Um, Shortly, I'm going to offer everybody that listens on this podcast, and anybody that doesn't, a free challenge. And in that challenge, it's going to be entitled "You've Retired, Now What." It'll be 1 hour a day, 1 hour a day, and I'm going to teach you different lessons each day on helping guide you through that you've retired, the transitions, what you can expect, and we're going to start building your own plan, that what you want to do now that you're retired. If you have an interest, please keep watching this podcast. I think I'm going to do it here towards the last week of October, but I'll keep you apprised. One more time, I want to thank you for listening and watching, and I'll see you the next time. Thank you. Hey, before we conclude this episode, I'd like each and every one of you to know that your thoughts, your dreams, and what you would like to get out of this podcast is valuable to me. My whole goal and my mission is to serve you like I have served others. For years, I had taught major corporations how to use learning as a competitive advantage. I want to do the same for you. So please leave your notes or reach out to me, and I want to gear this podcast towards your wants and needs and help you as much as I can. Again, this is Michael Kiffmeyer, and you've listened to You've Retired, Now What? I want to thank each and every one of you for listening.